Hi, class. I hope you are enjoying our British Literature of the Modern World course. This week, we are going to be delving into some post colonial literature, talking about the definition and actually reading some of the literature and comparing. So, before we start doing that, I wanted to make sure that I gave you an introduction to post colonial literature so you understand what it is, some of the definitions and problems with the term, and some of the unifying themes. First of all, the definition of post-colonial literature. It's not an easy thing to define what post-colonial literature is, and in fact, it's a big subject of debate in the field. There are many different definitions, and you can see why there are a lot of different gray areas that come along with trying to define what it is. But when you boil it down, it basically refers to literature written in English by authors from countries that were once colonized by Britain. And there are a lot of different debates over what that means. It usually does not include American literature, even though you could make an argument for that. And it doesn't include literature written by people from Britain living in another country, like India, for instance. Um, that's considered colonial literature, not post colonial literature. But we will read some of those definitions and talk about the debate as we try to define what post colonialism is and what that means and what unifies it. There are often themes that you will encounter as we read some of the literature of the post-colonial genre. One of the unifying themes that you'll see over and over again is that of identity. So, as you can imagine, living in a country that had its own traditions that was then taken over politically and culturally by a Western country like Great Britain, you could see that there would be a lot of conflicts there in what is my identity, who am I, what country am I from, what traditions am I from. So you'll see conflicts and themes of race and how race tensions and racial issues that happen in these countries. Gender uh, gender issues, origins. You'll see a theme of Western versus Native cultures. Religion is a big one that you will encounter as Britain brought Christianity to many countries that were not Christian traditionally. And then you will see different themes of context and point of view. You can see how two people can view the same event so differently based on their own experience and identity. So watch for those themes of identity as you read the literature this week. Another overlying unifying theme is freedom versus domination. As you can imagine, you will see a power struggle between the colonizers and those that were colonized, between tradition and Western domination. But in addition to that, political freedom and domination, you'll also see themes of power relationships at all levels between the sexes as Western culture brought different norms of how the sexes relate to each other, between family members, especially between the older generation and a younger generation. You'll see that kind of those kind of conflicts, as well as political relationships and conflicts. And then finally, a unifying theme that you'll see in post colonial literature is progress versus tradition, as they seek to understand where technology, innovation takes them and how it's improved their life, but also how it's important to hold on to tradition and traditional ways. So you'll see themes of modern versus traditional, and then, of course, as we mentioned before, those generational clashes between young and old family members. So there's a lot to think about, a lot to learn, but these are some of those unifying themes that I want you to watch for. And as you can see, we have a lot to do this week, so let's get started. I'm really excited to hear what you think about post colonial literature as you learn more about it.